The International Police Department released a statement in 2021 stating that the number of people who still believe that Magnezone are UFOs has not decreased substantially in almost a decade. The vast majority don't know how and why Magnezone levitate because they think they are controlled by some extra-dimensional being. They also don't understand the connection between Magnemite, Magneton, and Magnezone. Why does Magneton weigh 10 times more than a Magnemite despite being only made of 3 Magnemites? How does a magnetic field cause Magneton to become Magnezone? And according to a poll on Pokédex, a large number of people don't know how magnets work in the first place. So there's another question I'll be answering in this video. To begin, we need to understand what magnets are and how they work. After all, that's literally half of Magnezone's name. The other half is due to it being cryptically called the Magnet Area Pokémon. However, you can rest assured that I'll explain what this means, because it seems to be reserved knowledge for a handful of scholars. I'll define magnetism, ferromagnetism, and electromagnetism. I know, a lot of magnetism. After I finish telling you about magnets, we'll depart from physics to discuss the biology of an abiological creature. You probably have been indoctrinated to believe Pokémon become new species in the blink of an eye in a process known as evolution. If only I could hit you on the head with Tinkerton's hammer so you would forget that extremely unscientific idea. Listen, Magnezone may be abiological, meaning not biological, but there are a lot of amazing extremophiles, extremotrophs, and other extreme life forms in the Pokemon world. So I'll talk about how a Magnemite develops in its normal lifetime to eventually become a Magnezone. Finally, I'll talk about Magnezone's chemical composition and a bit about its ecology. I'm also going to talk about the origin of Magnet Rise, which is a term coined by one of my professors in her groundbreaking thesis, Levitation in Living Systems, the Magnet Rise phenomenon. So, without further ado, this is the Impossible Biology of Magnezone, starting off with the theory of magnets. What makes a magnet so special? The answer, a magnetic field. But what exactly is a magnetic field? Imagine you're standing in the middle of a grassy field, the wind swirling invisibly around you. You can't see the wind, but you can feel it pushing against your face, bending the grass and scattering the leaves. A magnetic field is a wind that blows at the speed of light at all times in specific directions. Did you know the magnet in your phone could theoretically be felt on the surface of a planet 100 billion light years away? Of course, I use the word theoretically since the influence of a magnetic field decreases rapidly the further away you are from the source. So, a magnet is simply any material with a magnetic field? Not so fast! The reality is much richer. Just wait until I talk about superconducting magnets. As I've mentioned, magnets work by a special kind of field called a magnetic field. As soon as a Magnemite is born, a magnetic field is also born with it that rushes in every permissible direction at the speed of light. The magnetic field is a vector field that, coupled with the electric field, constitutes the electromagnetic field, enabling the propagation of electromagnetic waves and the mediation of the fundamental force of electromagnetism. What does that mean, Professor? A vector field is a field where every point in that field, or zone, contains both a direction and a magnitude, which is a fancy way of saying size. Imagine a field like a grassy field. On every point of the field, there is a blade of grass. It can have a length, and the length can even be 0, where the grass hasn't grown or has been cut. Each blade might also be pointing in a certain direction that isn't straight up. In the same way, a physical field, such as the magnetic field, is a region or area, hence the name Magnet Area, of space-time containing values for each point in it. I introduced the electric field in passing here because it is conjoined with the magnetic field. You probably already have an idea about this because you likely know that electrons are responsible for electricity. It's in the name. Electrons, electricity. As I will soon elaborate, electrons are also responsible for magnetism. The electromagnetic field is simply the combination of the electric and magnetic fields. However, if a Magnemite used thundershock, the electric field that is generated from using the move will influence the magnetic field it generates. How the two fields combine is described by vector calculus, which would require an entire video by itself to explain, so I'll keep my descriptions reasonably superficial and simple. Let me know in the comments if you think my content is too technical or if I don't explain things enough.